And so there's a process that I work through, which I'm going to read to you, and we won't do because everybody's hungry. I think it's really valuable to do, so maybe we'll knock it out right after lunch if we can like stay in this zone and come back to it. But I call it the ego self re-education process. So when I notice a negative feeling, I then listen to the voice in my head. And a lot of times this happens for me in the morning. I think what happens is that while I'm asleep, I'm actually not as conscious, so I can't work with my unconscious egoic mind like I do throughout the day. So I wake up feeling anxious. Does anybody else wake up feeling anxious? Okay. So I wake up feeling anxious. So I notice the feeling, and then I get right on my computer in the morning. I have a morning routine, and I type out everything that I hear. All of it, the whole story. And then I work my process around it, similar to what we did with the stories and the limiting beliefs. And then I end up feeling better. That's my process. So I'll read it to you real quick and then we'll break for lunch because I brought an example of it. This is what I woke up to on Tuesday. I'm just not going to get it done. There's simply not enough time. The presentation isn't smooth and nobody's going to understand it. It's too much information crowded into too little time. This is going to be embarrassing. Everyone is expecting this to be compelling information and they're giving their Saturday up for this and you're not delivering. You should back out. But there's not a way to back out. I feel trapped, I don't have time today to get my meetings done and my iPhone repaired and finish this presentation. Carol isn't even going to be here tomorrow or Friday to help me practice. I haven't even practiced the second half yet. I'm not even finished with my notes or the handouts. This is a disaster. That's what I woke up to. Good morning! But like, you ever wake up like this? Right? Or like it's an after lunch ego attack. So, you know, the thing is you got to deal with it immediately because what's happening is this is going on. You're wiring your brain. You're wiring your brain and you're making it harder next time because this is your experience right now. So the longer you let this go on, the deeper it's going to wire the already existing stuff that you don't want wired. And the longer it's going to take until you replace it with something else. Well, that's going to be part two. So I wrote to my ego. So dear ego, thank you for making your concerns aware to my conscious mind. I understand that you're worried about me and that you see my life through the lens of problems. As you know from most of our past conversations, your perspective is rarely, if ever, what is really going on. I do have a lot of work this week between the seminar and my other obligations, but that's not a problem. It's a good thing. I have a lot of good things going on right now that require my time. I wasn't planning on my iPhone dying, but the good news is that Apple lets me book an appointment and I have one scheduled this afternoon. It shouldn't take long. Carol was kind enough to push her trip back until tomorrow, so we will be able to get in another round of practice tonight. And I know the second half really well, so that shouldn't be an issue. Yes, I need to put my notes together, but most of them are already there. It's just a bit of cleanup. Same with the handouts and the workbook. I have 3 days to polish everything, and right now I'm feeling really good about where everything is. Remember, this is a pilot. It's not supposed to be perfect. That's the whole point of a pilot. The attendees don't have any expectations, and frankly, even if they just walked away with awareness around the 5 primary drivers, it's probably worth their time. I wouldn't even think of backing out. I'm excited about the seminar this weekend and spending the day with friends engaged in really interesting and exciting conversation. I know you're worried that we're going to be embarrassed, but that's just not going to happen. I'm really proud of myself for putting the seminar together, and I'm going to be proud no matter how this first dry run goes. You're welcome to stay today if you'd like to see me go run through the seminar again, but I'm going to have to ask you to be quiet. I'm planning on enjoying this day. But that's what I do in the morning. I armor up. And I go into life. And my actions are different. I prevent my brain from wiring in a way that I don't want it to wire. So next time when I come out with my book and I'm doing my, book signing, and I've never done that before, I'm going to have this to access. Not what I woke up with. And so we're going to come up with a routine at the end of this. And to Brian's point, it does a lot more than this. Because when we start to rewire our brain, we look at what we're sending out there, and there's a magic and a miracle that happens, which is going to be part 2. It's supposed to be part 1, but the timing's not perfect, but that's okay. So, I would encourage everyone to go back to that process. Go have this dialogue with yourself. You've probably done something like that if you've done inner child work. It's the best process I have. There's going to be probably 7 or 8 processes I talk about. It's the best process. And if it happens and you have an ego attack in the middle of the day, because we're going to have an emergency kit that we talk about, stop what you're doing and go fix it. I don't care if you have to sit on the toilet and do it. Like, just shift yourself because it'll change your life.